Welcome back, Sethbling here. And I've got a set of 3 axes here. I'm going to use them to do some 3D graphing. So let's go ahead and press the reset button here. It'll reset the plane, and then it'll tell me a list of 5 equations that it knows how to draw. So let's start with the first one, x squared, y equals x squared minus z squared, and I'll just click on it. And there we go. Looks pretty cool. This is what we call a saddle figure, because it kind of curves upward in this direction and downwards in the other direction. You can kind of go through the blocks and look at it from any angle. Actually a pretty good visualization tool, I think. Let's look at some of the other equations. We have x cubed times z plus z cubed times x. And this is going to be another kind of saddle figure, but in the other direction. This is my favorite one, sine 20x plus cosine 20z. And sine and cosine are both wavy. This one takes a little bit longer to calculate. But yeah, this looks really cool, I think. It's wavy in both dimensions. So this one's the sine dimension, and then this one's the cosine dimension. Next one, 1 over x squared plus z squared. So this one looks kind of like a volcano. These curves would keep going up, except there's a limit to how high I can render the blocks, just because of the limitations of the system that I've built. So it kind of cuts it off, but it would keep going up if it was able to. And then the last one, y equals cosine 40 times squared x squared plus z squared. And this is going to look wavy, kind of like the other one based on ripples, or cosine. But so this one has like a ripple effect. You have a drop in the middle and then a ripple going on around it. And actually, if it was able to render farther out in each direction, you'd see more ripples. And so pretty cool graphing system. So I'll kind of go over what each of these. These are the command blocks that run the whole system. I'll kind of go over what each of the lines does, but not the particular commands involved in each. So down here, this is the reset line, and when I click it, you can see it resets the whole graphing surface, and then tells me a bunch of equations that it's able to render, so that I can click on those. And okay, so this clock right here is involved in resetting. Basically, it goes line by line and summons in these armor stands. These are, of course, armor stands. Game mode 3, you can see just a bunch of armor stands wearing diamond blocks on their head. And so when I push this button, the clock turns on by having a block here, and when the reset procedure is done, it turns on this clock, which then listens for when the player clicks on one of these chat messages, and then so this one listens for when they click on it, and it calls these kind of functions up above to, well, these 5 functions here, these 5 lines, basically calculate the 5 equations that I have listed, and then the 6th one up here kind of renders it by putting all the armor stands in the right position according to their y value. And so each of these, this is the first function, which is x squared minus z squared. This is the second function, x cubed, whatever. So this one, wait, actually I think they're out of order, but I think this one is actually, yeah, this one's sine 20x plus cosine 20z. And so I actually have an approximation of sine and cosine built into these command blocks. And then similarly for this one up here, this one is the cosine 40 times squared x squared plus z squared. There is an approximation for square root and also cosine built into this one. So I looked up some approximations for those things online so that I would have a pretty good approximation. It does work pretty well, actually. If we go to the, I mean, the fact that this curve is so smooth and appears to be very regular, I think the approximations are quite good. And then so so basically each of these armor stands has its own x and z value. So everything in this row has a z value of -10, and then -9, -8. We go to here, this is 0, and then up to 10. Same thing for x scores in the other dimension. And so then we calculate a y value for each of these. In fact, if I scoreboard, objective, set display, sidebar y, we'll see, why are they all 0? I'm not actually sure. Let's players reset star. Let's there might be some old armor stands sitting around. So let's reset it and try it again, and see if those Y values get put where they should be. So let's do this thing. It takes a while to calculate all the sines and cosines. Oh right, actually, as part of the drawing procedure, the Y values all get set to 0 as it sort of tweaks the blocks into the right place. It subtracts values from the Y score. So that's why the Y scores are all 0. But anyway, okay, that wasn't a really good demonstration, but you get the idea. And so yeah, it places the armor stands according to their Y value, and that's pretty much how it works. So I think it's a really cool visualization tool. It could actually be useful to people doing their math homework or whatever. So if you'd like to download it and take a look for yourself and see all the math that I've done here, there's a link in the video description, and you can check it out. That's about it. Thanks for watching.